What you're about to watch is a real stroke analysis I made for a recent student who reached out to me saying he wanted to improve his serve. So I asked this player to send me videos of him serving from the back view and side view. I then took those videos and I created a complete 30-minute lesson, putting him side by side with the pros, showing him what he's doing correctly, but then also what he's going to need to change to gain power, control, and confidence. If while you're watching this analysis, you think to yourself, man, I would love to have Ryan analyze my game, whether it's your serve, your forehand, your backhand, your net game, your footwork, or even your match play strategy, that's what I do. Let's say you have Swing Vision and you have all these matches and you would love to have me analyze it. Just send me the link to your Swing Vision matches and I will analyze it from top to bottom. I'll show you your court positioning mistakes, your shot selection, your strategy and tactic mistakes, what you do correctly so you can keep doing it over and over again. And even if there's someone who you struggle to beat, I will teach you how to beat them. Just send me the video and I will, from top to bottom, dissect their game and show you how to attack them and exploit their weaknesses. To order a stroke or strategy analysis, you can click the link in the description right now or at any time during the video. I'm also going to pin it in the first comment. So enjoy this serve analysis, and I hope it actually helps you learn a few things that improve your serve. Enjoy.
Hey Ken, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net. Hey, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this video stroke analysis lesson for you on your serve. Number one, your grip. The grip is great. And like 80% of people tell me, that was supposed to be an 80% of people tell me that they have the right grip and only 20% actually do. So congratulations. You are part of the 20%. The second thing that I really like about your serve is this view right here from shoulder to elbow, all in a perfect line. This is amazing. Oftentimes I see the player's elbow is too high or it's too low, and yours is Goldilocks just right, which is awesome. And the last thing that I like about your serve, I shouldn't say the last thing, but there's a lot about your serve, but these three things I'm talking about, I really like, is the fact that you tuck that left arm in against the body. We are going to talk about one specific thing about that and how you can even improve the tuck and the movement of that left arm. But I love that you're tucking that left arm in against the body. The purpose of that is to stop the body's rotation, to accelerate the hitting arm. So you do that perfectly. So excellent job. Let's get to your areas for improvement. All right, so number one, you have very little coiling in the beginning of your serve. Two, we're going to look at the fact that your toss is too high and it's also too far left. Number three, your racket is up too soon. Four, your left arm collapses when it drops down. And number five, your right arm is straight during the follow through. All right, number one, Ken, you have very little coiling at the beginning of the serve. The goal is at the beginning, you turn your body away from the court and you show your back more to the opponent. When you serve, your chest is basically straight along your baseline. What I want you to do at the beginning of the serve is turn your body more so that your chest is pointing more back at an angle. So your chest will be pointing slightly back to basically the corner, kind of like this corner of the fence, but back here, like that correlating corner to the back fence. Just like a baseball pitcher, when you're coiling and you're coiled, then you're able to uncoil, and it's going to give you a lot of kind of unraveling energy. So I'll compare you to me for this one, but then I'll show you some pros. I want you to watch the ball and the way the ball goes back before I toss. And this is called a J toss, and it allows, and really the J toss is a byproduct of the coiling, but it allows you to kind of have a way of knowing if you're coiling enough. So if we look at the ball, and I'm here on the ad side, so this isn't exactly apples to apples, but this is going to be what you need to think of in order to do this correctly, is I want you to look how the ball comes back to my right pocket from the camera's view. Watch how the ball stays in front of the left side of your shorts. That's as far back as the ball goes, and then you toss. I want you to coil, and you can see my chest is pointing back. When I'm serving, my chest is very much back. I'm showing the opponent my back. I want you to coil the body enough that your chest is back, but at the beginning, I actually want you to bring the ball to your right pocket, in line with your right pocket from the baseline view, like the camera is on the baseline right now, looking along the baseline, and the ball has gone back. Then watch how it goes up. So that's why it's called the J toss. There's basically like a weird or kind of candy cane toss, a J that is drawn when you do this. You have the typical put the ball to the pocket and then toss. Like that's kind of what you've got. It's bring it to the pocket and then toss. And this typically gives less coiling. So then you have very much an arming the ball kind of look or feel to the serve. And we want a coiling and uncoiling that occurs. So here's JJ Wolf. His ranking has absolutely plummeted. I looked at him and I think he's like right now number like 150 or 200 in the world. His ranking's coming back up. I don't know if he's struggling with an injury, but he's a career high of number 39, and he's only 25 years old. He was the number one college player in the U.S. He went to Ohio State. So he was ranked number one during the season. I think the year or two before Ben Shelton came out of Florida. And I want you to watch the ball come back to his groin and then go up. Watch the ball come back to his groin. So you can see that the ball is behind his shoulder, right? Like the ball has gone back past his shoulder. Then he goes up with the ball, and notice he's actually covering up his face with his hand. And look where the camera is. This is actually back. The camera angle is back more from the baseline. And that's how far back he's brought the ball. And then obviously he tosses the ball up and serves. And again, he's on the ad side, but this really gives you the look and the feel of what I want you to have. Look where his chest is pointing, right? His knees are pointing back. His chest is really back. Here he is playing Bautista Agut when RBG was number 10 in the world. So a few years ago at Indian Wells, I think this is 2022 Indian Wells, and JJ had 2 match points, lost in the third set. Crazy match. And what's crazy is this is at the beginning of the match, and you can tell because there's nobody in the stands. At the end of the match, this thing was packed. It was like the stands were absolutely packed, standing room only. It was amazing. So watch how his chest is visible to the camera, right? That's because his chest is pointing back kind of at that corner, kind of like where the ball kid is here. But this ball kid that's back here, who we don't see, that's where his chest is facing. So it's kind of nice to see him on the deuce side, showing his back to the opponent and his chest back to the corner of the fence. When you begin your serve, I want you to turn your back to the opponent and actually feel like you're bringing the ball at least to your groin, if not to your back hip. And I found a deuce side, which is great. Look where the ball is. The ball's by his groin, right? So the ball is behind his shoulder, where you always keep the ball in front of your shoulder. So your arm is like this. I want you to have your arm like this. So the ball comes back to the groin, and that's when you toss. But it isn't just the ball that goes back. That's not really what's happening. Is you want to turn the body, and the ball just goes back from the camera's view, and then you toss. This coiling like a baseball pitcher allows you to uncoil. That's going to help you tremendously in getting more racket speed. All right, number 2, Ken. Your toss is a little too high, and it's too far left. So let's look at the height first. So what I do to measure the height is I put the ball somewhere near the nose, top of the head, somewhere around there, and this is a perfect frame for that. And I put a timer down, and we run the video from now until contact. And you should be somewhere between 0.6 and 0.9, right? Like 9-0. You should be somewhere in that range. And really just looking at your level of play and like how good you are at tennis, and just kind of looking at what you're doing with your serve, I would love to see your toss timing somewhere around 0.8. 0.8, 0.83, I think like that range, just from 27 years of coaching, that range I think would look amazing on you. Now, if we run the timer, and from this point, we'll keep going here. So I'll give you some context here. So 0.66, that's Taylor. I'm sorry. That is JJ Wolf. He's hitting the ball right now at this point. 0.66, 0.7, 0.71. That actually a little bit less. So we'll go 0.69. That's Nick Kyrgios. And 0.76 that is when Ben Shelton contacts the ball, starting from that same height. And it doesn't matter how tall you are, it makes no difference. Your toss height has nothing to do with how tall you are. And we keep going. 0.79, Taylor Fritz. 0.83, as I'm recommending, somewhere around 0.8, 0.83, with Taylor Fritz around 0.79, 0.8. 0.83 is Nadal and Federer. And then you keep going, and you're contacting at 0.93. So though you're just outside my recommended range, you are on the outside. And just looking at the way you're swinging, it is definitely in your best interest because you have some sequencing issues. You have some moments that your swing kind of pauses and you have a bit of a hitch or hiccup that occurs in your serve. Maybe someone's mentioned it or maybe you've noticed it. You are definitely in need of lowering the toss because what you need to do is give yourself less time to swing. See, when you toss the ball at this moment right here, you give yourself 0.93 seconds to swing. But let's take Ben Shelton. Ben Shelton only has 0.76 to swing. From this moment right here, his racket has to get to the ball in less time. Well, we know the definition of speed is distance over time, so he has to swing faster. So one of the things you'll notice with players is if they lower their toss, the speed of their serve increases, and they can allocate that racket speed either to making the ball curve, putting more spin on the ball, imparting spin, or just basically blasting the serve and just making the ball go faster. Racket speed is like a tennis player's currency. It's how you buy speed or spin when it comes to a forehand, a backhand, or a serve. So then the question becomes, how do we toss lower? The way to toss lower is to toss slower. The ball is an inanimate object. It will only go the speed that you make it go. So if you toss very slowly, the ball won't go very high. If you toss really fast, then the ball goes really high, right? Your left arm goes up faster than Ben Shelton's tossing arm. Your left arm goes up faster than J.J. Wolf's and tossing arm and Kyrgios's tossing arm and Federer and Nadal's. Their tossing arm goes up slower than yours. That's why the ball doesn't go as high, and then they have a shorter toss timing. So I want you, after you coil your body, I want you to toss slowly. The ball won't go as high, and you'll be forced to swing faster. Next, let's look at how far left and right you should toss. So this is where we're going to talk about the different tosses you can use. But you just want to think of this as a clock. And for your slice serve, I want you to toss around 1 o'clock. For your flat serve, I want you to toss around 12:30. And for your topspin serve, you can toss right around 12. Now, if you don't hit the topspin, the ball can drop behind you this way, but you'll hit the ball before it really goes behind you. Arthur Ashe is a perfect example of this. This is from a Vic Braden video where he had Arthur Ashe come out and he helped him, and Vic Braden, the well-known coach. And just look at his toss placement. The toss is at 1 o'clock. This is a slice serve, and if you watch this video on YouTube, Vic says that this serve went 102 miles an hour, and it was the only serve he had ever had. And he had like all the greats come out at the time, and they were filming their serves. And Arthur's serve, the ball hit the side fence before it reached the baseline, meaning like the extension of the baseline out all the way to the fence. It hit the side fence. It was in 102 miles an hour and hit the side fence before it crossed the baseline. That is insane, or obviously the extension of the baseline. That is insane. He said it was the fastest serve they'd ever seen that did that. Because you could do that really slowly if you stood way over, but like in the doubles position. But here he is in the singles position, and he's able to curve that ball. If you really want to increase the spin and what the action is on the ball, then toss over at 1 o'clock. Watch your toss here. This is a slice serve, and your ball, like you're having to jump to the left, and this ball really arcs over, and you're having to lean over as you hit this to hit this slice serve. You're better off tossing straight up like this and having, well, that wasn't really straight up. Let me do that. There we go. Straight up. And then that's your toss. And if you notice, when Ash hits this ball, if we just go to the contact point, if we draw a straight line down, it's to the outside of his body, right? You hit this serve, and this is really the worst one we saw, but of you. But so your contact point is somewhere around there. Let's see. Oh, it's even more left of that. But you got the idea. So the contact point is there. It's in line with your left foot. Where for Ash, you guys are contacting at the same place, standing in the same place. His toss is way off to the right. Watch the direction he's swinging. See, when you hit a slice serve, you got to really swing off to the right. And that's going to be what really imparts the spin and gets that ball to curve. So when you're hitting your slice, toss it here. When it's flat, toss it here. When it's topspin, toss it here. Don't worry about having the same toss. Like everyone tries to have the same toss. It's one of those ideas. It frustrates me greatly when I hear coaches say, toss in the same place and you'll disguise it and your opponent won't know what you're doing. But who cares if they know what you're doing? What are they going to do about it? There's nothing they're going to do about it, because it's not like when you toss the ball up, especially if you toss only 0.8 seconds or 0.76 seconds, they can't move. By the time they react to like what your toss is doing, maybe they'll see what's going to happen, but they can't do anything about it. And if you're going to slice it out wide, then you slice it out wide. If you're going to blast a flat serve, then you're going to blast a flat serve. Like, it's not like they can change what they do anyway. And what typically happens, Ken, is if you have the same toss for all of your serves kind of just run together and there's no real difference. Like, it's this idea of, well, Serena does it and Federer does it. Great. All right. Well, we're not Serena and Venus, right? We're 1/100th of the athlete that they are. It's just insane. They're the top, some of the top, probably, some consider the top 10 athlete of all time. Serena, like, definitely a top 10 athlete of all time. Like, men, women, it doesn't matter. She is insane. And so we can't just copy whatever she does or whatever the greats do. We have to pick and choose what we copy. And I would tell you to have 3 different tosses, and for your slice to get the ball slightly to the right of your body. So if it dropped, it would be on the right of your body, just like with Ash. If he doesn't hit this ball is coming straight down and it's going to land to his right where your toss is arcing. And for a slice, will go off to the left. This is actually a topspin serve toss. You got to get that ball more to the right. So toss lower and more right, and your ability to hit your slice serve will greatly improve. Number 3, you are currently using, Ken, a technique called ball up, tip up. So very simple to understand. When we say tip, we're talking about the tip of the racket. Your ball is about a foot out of your hand. It's similar for me too. The tip of your racket is pointing slightly up. The tip of my racket is pointing slightly down. The tip of my racket, if we just go straight across, like the very bottom of my racket, the tip of the racket, you can see where it is, kind of like at my belly button, where we take the same part of your racket and go across, and the tip of your racket is basically at your nose. What this means is that my racket has a farther distance to go, and your racket has a shorter distance to go. Now, remember the toss timing? I actually use a toss timing that I don't even consider to teach people. So my toss timing is 0.53. I have a really low toss. Now, it's not too low. It's just, I don't recommend that people do this because it can be a little awkward if you're not used to it. But you can see the ball goes up, it peaks, and then I hit it after it drops 3 inches, maybe 2 inches, 3 inches. And then the ball's just sitting there waiting to be hit. But what I'm doing is I'm only giving myself 0.53 seconds to hit the ball from this moment right here, where you have, and you can see well, we'll say this, so it's actually less. So let's say, let's see how far that is. Let's see what the timer is with that. So 13 seconds. So I only have 0.4 seconds, 0.40. So we'll say 0.4 seconds to hit the ball from this moment right here, where when you release the ball from this moment, you're going to have, let's see your timer. Remember, you're at, so you're right there. So you have, that's 0.1, so 0.83 seconds. You have 0.83 seconds to go from here to the ball. I've got 0.4 seconds to go from here to the ball. So I am lower with my racket. My racket's lower, and I have to go a farther distance in about half the time. This is why my serve is faster than yours, because I have a lower toss and I have a longer distance to go once I toss. You have a higher toss and you have a shorter distance that your racket has to travel. So you can see the disparity and how we can create the environment where racket speed is necessary for you. What I want you to learn is to keep the tip of your racket down even as you lift your hand. You can see I'm lifting my hand, but I'm keeping the tip of the racket down as I lift my hand. I'm lifting my right hand, but keeping the tip of the racket down. When you lift your hand, you immediately get the tip up. You could curl your wrist or just droop your wrist over with wrist flexion as you lift the racket, almost feeling like the racket's really heavy or the racket's like a kettlebell. And as you lift, there's like no way for wrist extension to lift it up. You just got to keep that wrist curled over. I would love at this point where my hand and your hand are at a very similar height, where my racket's down by my pocket, your racket's at your collarbone. I would love if you just drew the racket here. If your racket was just down here, like mine. My racket is like this. Tip of my racket's down, tip of your racket down. Delay the racket tip by having your wrist curled over. It'll force your racket to travel even farther, and you couple that with the lower toss, you'll have to swing incredibly fast, and your flat serves, your slice serves, even your topspin serves are going to travel much faster. Here's JJ Wolf. Remember how I said his toss timing is 0.65, 0.66? There's the ball at the top of the head. There he is contacting the ball, 0.65. Watch, he uses ball up, tip down. So the ball's a foot out of his hand about, and the tip of his racket is pointing down. That forces his racket to travel really fast. Here's Djokovic against Berdych in Paris. There's the ball, a foot, maybe a foot and a half out of his hand. Look at the tip of his racket. Tip of his racket is down. Look at the wrist curl. That's how I want you to lift the racket up initially. I want you to lift your hand up, but have the wrist curled over. That delays the racket, makes the racket have to go a farther distance in a shorter amount of time, from 0.93 to around 0.83, because you'll toss slower. All right, number 4. You are currently collapsing your left arm a bit. Now, I'm being very nitpicky because you're a good player and you do a lot right on your serve. So I've got to become nitpicky in order to find ways for you to improve, right? You don't have 10,000 things wrong. So I have to be, a little bit of fine-tooth comb detective in order to find some of the things that you can improve upon. So let's look at this idea. This is Granard Ayres, or Marcel Granard. He's the current number 1 doubles player in the world. What I want you to look at is the way his left arm drops compared to yours. His left arm is going to drop out, and watch how he basically points to the opponent with his left hand. So he could take his index finger and just point to the opponent. Okay? Watch how your arm drops and it's bent. And right now, if you pointed, you'd be pointing at the camera. What we want is for this lever to stay as long as possible as it drops, then bring it in against the body. And you can see how he has this beautiful arc where the hand goes out and then tucks in. Watch. It goes out and then tucks in. If I were to draw your movement on him, you're like this. Okay? So I would love if your arm was a little straighter at this point, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that it's slightly bent. It really isn't. But when you drop the arm, I want you to really reach out. And at this moment, you're pointing at the opponent. You look like you're trying to tuck the arm in as it drops. And it doesn't create the shoulder over shoulder what is that thing called? It's called a cartwheel. That cartwheel move where, just think about somebody doing a cartwheel, their front arm. So if you're going to do the cartwheel this way and spin like this, just think about what the left arm does. It's up above your head and then it goes out and then does, this shoulder goes up and that shoulder goes down. I want that to be a very forceful move. So here's what I want you to do. When you decide to drop your arm, which I love how long you keep this arm up. Like, it's great. You have the racket up with the left hand. That's exactly the look that you want. You can see he's got a similar look, the left hand with the racket, right? Number one in the world in doubles currently. I just looked it up right now. It's right in front of me on my laptop as I look at it. He's the current number one in the world. He got as high as number 19 in the world in singles back in 2012. So we're talking about a very high level player. His left arm goes out. That's what I want. And this is why I tell people, point to the opponent, like really reach out, trying to keep your arm like the spoke of a wheel, trying to feel like your arm is staying straight as it drops. Then bring it, oh, sorry, wrong tool. There we go. Then bring it in against the body. It will create a more forceful shoulder over shoulder action for more racket speed, where your left arm basically just collapses against the body and takes a shortcut. We want it to take the long way. What you'll notice is his left arm comes in against the body as he's hitting. Watch how he times it with the racket and his arm together. So he's hitting the ball as the left arm tucks. Your left arm is in the same place as his, yet you're not hitting the ball yet. That's because you're taking a shortcut. And and you know exactly what I mean by this. You're taking a shortcut rather than the long way. We want the long way. We want this rather than this. So go the long way. It'll be a more forceful way to move the shoulders. Then you'll tuck it in against the body at the exact moment you're hitting the ball. And now number 5. When you're done, Ken, your arm is very straight. Now it's blurry, but we can tell it's straight. And then the racket's like this. I'm going to suggest on all of your serves that you bend your elbow. And when you bend your elbow, your arm is going to look like this, where this segment is actually your racket. So shoulder, elbow, hand. Let me show you what I mean. Here's a great view of J.J. Wolf doing this. You can see that arm tuck in against the body as he's hitting. But I want you to look at this position right here. Look at his arm. His elbow is pointing up. When you are going up to the ball, your arm is going to be bent. Then when you hit the ball, your arm is going to be straight. But then I want you to bend. What this allows for is the racket to travel faster than your arm. Right now, your arm is straight like this. So yes, your hand is going faster than your shoulder, but only at the rate of a spoke going faster than the inside of the wheel. Like the outside of a spoke goes obviously faster than the inside of a spoke because it's a longer distance and it has to travel that longer distance in the same amount of time. But the interesting thing here is that he is bending the elbow, and his fastest serve that I've ever seen kind of documented is 137, pretty darn fast, 137 miles an hour. He's using the bent elbow technique, which it's very common to see really fast servers using this technique where the arm is bent after. What this allows for is the segment of the forearm to travel faster than the upper arm segment, where if this segment is going at X speed, well, if the forearm is staying, the forearm is here and it's staying along that spoke, it can only travel at a rate of a spoke faster. But if you can bend the elbow, which we have the ability to, which means the elbow points up because we're pronating and the strings face off to our right. When we bend the elbow, now we get extra speed. Does every pro do this? No, but I want you to do it to help you increase your racket speed. It's a great view of Ben Shelton. You can see how as he drops his tossing arm, look how it's out in front of him, by the way. He's not collapsing it toward the camera. And then as he's hitting, that's when he's tucking it in against his body. So here's his arm bent, his hitting arm. There's his arm straight. And then look, he's doing the exact same thing as JJ. Elbow pointing up. So his shoulder to his elbow, elbow to his hand, and hand to his racket are 3 different segments. That doesn't mean you have to stop here. You don't have to slam on the brakes here. You can, have your follow through and you can see that. It's just get into that position during the follow through. It'll force your racket to travel faster. Just remember, you want the elbow when doing this to point up. All right, Ken. So now here are your serve solutions. Number one, I want you to turn your body away from your opponent, right? You're going to show your chest to the back fence a bit. Show your back to the opponent. And when you do that and you turn the body, you'll do that before you toss. So you'll do the turn and now the ball is kind of in line with your groin. Then you'll toss the ball up into the air. That coiling allows for more uncoiling. Number two, you're going to toss slower. That's the way you're going to toss lower. And I want you to toss more right for your slice serve. It's critical, especially because you have the correct grip, that you're swinging off to the right of your target. You don't swing towards your target. You swing to the right of your target when hitting a slice serve. So tossing over toward 1 o'clock, the way Arthur Ashe does in that video, is really going to help you to hit a great slice serve. When hitting flat, 12:30. When hitting topspin, 12 o'clock. Number three, keep the tip down as you lift the racket. So it's ball up, tip down. So as you lift your right hand, instead of quickly trying to get the racket above your head in the trophy position, delay the tip of the racket. When you couple 2 and 3, an instant increase in racket speed occurs because now you're going to have less time because you toss slower and the ball's not going to be as high. You're going to now have less time to move the racket a farther distance. So you can see how that really increases the racket speed when you really change the distance the racket's going to travel and the amount of time it has to travel that distance. That gives you the extra speed you're looking for. Number four, you're going to point to the opponent, then tuck the left arm against the body. So when you drop that left arm, drop it out and point directly at your opponent, or just like over the net is really kind of the idea. You're pointing at the net is really maybe what I should have written there, but you're pointing at the net and then you bring it in against the body. The tuck needs to happen as you're hitting the ball. That's when you want to stop the body's rotation so that the hitting arm accelerates. You are bringing the arm in too soon and it loses its effectiveness. This is a case of it's not just what you do, it's when you do it. So you do tuck, and that was my compliment to you at the beginning. What I didn't tell you at the beginning is you tuck too soon. So the long way around, like the number one doubles player in the world, pointing to the opponent first, then bringing it in against the body, fixes that issue. And then number five, I want you to bend your elbow after contact, your right elbow, obviously, and the elbow points up. When you do that, that forces pronation. You're going to pronate on every serve you hit. Slice, topspin, and flat serve is just a natural movement of the bones in the forearm. And the easy way to make sure of that happening is actually to bend the elbow. It's kind of a back-assward way to make things work. But when you are looking for even more racket speed, which I'm sure you are, and you can allocate that racket speed into better topspin, flat, and slice serves, an easy way to actually swing faster is to bend the elbow. Now that hinge forces the racket to travel faster, and now you can get your forearm and your hand and your racket to travel faster than your shoulder housing. Where if the arm stays straight, you can only move your arm as fast as your shoulder can go. So it's called the Sampras elbow because I don't know if he was the one who invented it, but I definitely remember him doing it, and video footage kind of came around at that point. So, coaches kind of call it the Sampras elbow, but use the Sampras elbow, point that elbow up after you contact. You'll still follow through onto your left side the way you normally do, but you bend the elbow after contact and you're going to feel more racket speed. So Ken, thank you again for the opportunity to do this video stroke analysis lesson for you on your serve. Go in the order in which I taught, right? So don't think about, oh, tomorrow I'm going to point to the opponent. That's number 4. Like, you don't do that. You got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Just go in the order. If you need to, go back and take screenshots of the tips that I just showed you and take a screenshot, take it to the court, and there you got your cliff notes. But go to number 1, just start coiling the body more, get used to that, do that for a week or 2, then go to the second, then go to the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. If this takes you till New Year's, great. Right now it's October 24th, 2024. If this takes you till New Year's, great. Because if you don't do anything, your serve is going to be exact same on New Year's. So it doesn't matter how long this takes, progress doesn't matter how fast it happens, because at least it's better than being stagnant or being even worse, like frustrated and getting worse. So work on these ideas in the order in which I taught them, and there is no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. Ken, you got this.